Her pregnancy timeline didn't make sense, but that was just the beginning. Am I the a-hole for gossiping with my mom about my brother's fiancé is potentially lying about giving birth? Watch till the end, this story gets weirder. I, 22 female, have an older brother, John, 32 male, who has been with his fiancée, Jane, 30 female, for 4 years. They have a 4-month-old. Jane found out she was pregnant at 5.5 weeks and immediately called my mum to tell her. Mum was confused, but still very excited. Jane said she was going to tell John when he got back from his work trip. A few hours later, she called again, sobbing, saying she has insatiable cravings. Mum made a joke like, "Isn't it a bit early for cravings?" And Jane went off on her. She started yelling about how this was her pregnancy and no one else's. It was an odd reaction. She also apologized for her outburst by blaming it on hormones. When my brother returned from his trip, him and Jane left to stay at her mother's, and we didn't see her until after the baby was born. John said this was because Jane was afraid of losing the pregnancy and wanted to be with her mum, and we needed to respect boundaries. Whenever someone would ask about Jane or the baby, they would shut it down with vague answers like every pregnancy is different or she's carrying small, which isn't unusual. They barely shared anything about the pregnancy. No ultrasound pictures, no baby shower, and Jane didn't want anyone around during the delivery. I also discovered that every craving she listed came from one article about pregnancy cravings. She even listed multiple items in the same order as the article. When the baby was born, we were finally allowed to see Jane and John, and baby of course. It was very bittersweet as we all wished we could have been there for Jane to help out, but Jane and John both reassured us that we did help out by staying away during the pregnancy. The weirdest part, though, is how Jane describes the birth. She claims she had an epidural via IV drip into her hand, which is not how those are administered. When I asked clarifying questions, thinking she had gotten confused, which is understandable, she shut down and refused to answer, like how she would during the pregnancy. She said the baby had latching issues because he was born with no umbilical cord stump. This can technically happen, but it's a rare and fatal medical condition that their baby does not have. The final straw was when she told us that the baby basically fell out of her within an hour of being in labor, despite my brother telling us how hard the birth was, and even stating that was why they weren't going to try for any more kids. Mum is on the same side as me, and has been noting these inconsistencies and inaccuracies but doesn't know how to bring it up. And their reactions don't help. A few days ago, my brother texted my mum saying her doubt of Jane is disrespectful and they both want full apologies from the both of us for bullying Jane about her pregnancy and labor. I haven't made any outright accusations about it, nor have I said any of this to Jane. I've only asked questions when she brings the birth or pregnancy up. Am I the a-hole for having doubts?